20 minutes to 4. This is BBC Radio Leeds with Johnny, here until 6 o'clock tonight. And this month, the Epilepsy Society are raising awareness of drug-resistant epilepsy, which affects 1 in 3 people who suffer from the illness. Joining me now to talk about this is Chloe from Wakefield, who was diagnosed with epilepsy age 6, but was having seizures from the age of 2. And joining her is Professor Ley Sander, consultant neurologist at UCLH, National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery, and the Epilepsy Society's medical director. Hiya, how are you, Chloe?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And hi, Professor Sander, how are you?
Oh, hello. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. So, Chloe, tell us your story, if you will. It took a few years then for you to be diagnosed with epilepsy, did it?
Yeah, I was having seizures from a very, very early age and like more photosensitive, like with the TV. And it took a very long time to officially get diagnosed, but I was roughly about the age of 6 when I got diagnosed with epilepsy.
Right, and tell us about your seizures, because you suffer from 2 different types, if I'm right in saying that.
Yeah, so at the minute I am actually having grand mal seizures where I actually collapse on the floor, and I also have them in my sleep as well. And I also have something called non-epileptic attacks as well, which is actually to do with epilepsy as well. So
right, and these are like absent seizures almost.
They look like absent seizures, but they're not actually epileptic. So when I've had an EEG, they actually do say it's not a seizure. So it's very weird to explain to somebody. But when you actually do look at them, someone who's having one, it does look like an absent seizure. It's very, very strange. But by a professional point of view, it does. They do say that, yeah. Right,
and so you're having a tonic clonic seizure, I think is the correct term for them. That's every sort of 10 days to a couple of weeks, is it? I mean, how does that manifest itself? What actually happens to you?
I actually, I tend to have them, like usually if I'm stressed or if I have lack of sleep. And it's just, I have them every 10 to 14 days roughly. And it's just, it is quite hard, but you just get used to it. And when I have them a lot on the toilet, and I have them it's sometimes like, and my husband has to dress me and take me to bed, and I have them in my sleep. It is very, very difficult, but you wake up and you don't know where you are. But it does make you realise how strong you are, though, that you can get through the day and you can get through things, and that's my main thing of trying to, because I actually think a lot of people need to be more aware of how we can get through this, you know.
Of course, yeah. Of course. So you would just collapse, would you? And then, I mean, that must be so hard for you to kind of fit in a regular life if you don't know when these are coming and you don't know what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, it is. I don't personally know when I'm going to have one. And then there's obviously millions of people out there in the world who is in the exact same position. But if loads of people out there and seeing anyone have a seizure, all you'll have to do is put them in the recovery position, put them on the side, and also make sure they have put something soft under their head, and make sure that they stay with them, make sure they're okay. It will be scary, but make sure loads of charities like Epilepsy Society, Epilepsy Action, they've all got the first aid and they will be able to help you. And myself, I actually have a group on social media called No Cure, No Cause Epilepsy Awareness. and anyone is welcome to join. But I do raise a lot of awareness. I do music videos as well and things like that. So I do a lot of awareness for people as well.
Let's bring in Professor Ley Sander then. Ley, if I can ask then in simple terms, what is happening to Chloe or other people when they have epilepsy? What is going on then for the epilepsy to affect them?
Well, something is happening in the brain, and this is like we call them epileptic discharges. So the brain will react to something that is not normal with the physiology of the brain, the working of the brain, by having seizures. If this becomes a sort of pattern and people start having these seizures without any clear provocation or stimuli, we call this epilepsy. So epilepsy is basically a condition of the brain where the brain, you could say an analogy would be like a short circuit in the brain, and that will cause the event which we call the seizure.
Right. And drug-resistant epilepsy affects 1 in 3 people that have the illness. So how do you treat people if you can't use drugs?
Well, what happens is that the definition is that we know that people that when they start epilepsy, quite a lot of them, 60 to 70%, will become seizure-free on the first or the second drug. Once they have used 2 drugs with no success, we start having a very difficult battle, get people better. And it doesn't mean to say that they might not respond to another drug, but the likelihood of a response is relatively small. But, with many drugs that we have nowadays, we have around 20 drugs available for epilepsy. We can increase the numbers, but not very much. For some people that have drug-resistant epilepsy, they can be cured by surgery. But this is not for everyone, it's for some. Some people can be helped by devices like a vagus nerve stimulator, and some people, a small number of people, can be helped by diets, like the ketogenic diet.
Really? Right. Like the what? Sorry, the Texogenic diet?
Ketogenic.
Oh, ketogenic.
And that is very high in fat diet. People that have a condition which is basically a problem in the brain getting sugar in, so there's glucose getting into the brain. The energy of the brain may come from fat. So it's like some cars run on petrol, others on diesel.
Right,
and sometimes we find out that we're giving the wrong fuel for that person. And then if we give them a lot of the ketogenic diet, they might improve their seizures and their well-being.
Right. So relying on ketones and ketosis, where you're burning fat.
That's
for
correct.
Energy.
Yeah.
And there is, perhaps unsurprisingly, knock-on illnesses as well, things like depression, which is common amongst those with epilepsy.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's easy to understand if someone has a major impact in their life from the seizures, because having a seizure at the wrong place, the wrong time, people can come to harm. It will have an impact. People cannot drive if they have daytime seizures. It will impact what sort of career or what they work they can do. It will have an impact on the family. So it will come with depression, anxiety of not knowing when the next seizure is happening. So it's really a big burden on the person.
And Chloe, I wonder if I can ask you about that, because those things that Professor Sander has just mentioned has impacted on your life. I believe you've chosen not to have a family, and your work has been affected too by epilepsy.
Yeah, that is actually correct. And I have actually lost jobs. So due to my disability. So I ended up getting anxiety and depression at the same time. So I ended up just feeling, sorry for myself, because I just thought, oh, well, I can't help the fact I've got this disability, but it's part of who I am, but obviously it does happen. But you do feel a bit down. But I was nodding my head when he was actually saying that. But it does. and I still got it now. But at the end of the day, you do. I do have a job now, and I'm very happy to work from my job. And I'm actually a key worker now through COVID, and it makes me actually better. I actually have a great group of workmates, and a great supportive husband. But I know there is a lot of people out there who will be a lot more down than myself,
It must be. I just can't imagine how difficult it must be for you, particularly because of that jeopardy, I guess, of it could happen at any moment, and how you have to. Do you just have to put that to one side and just ignore it if you can, and just think, if it happens, it happens. We've been through this. Or are you constantly thinking, today might be the day that I have a seizure?
I try not to think about it, if I'm being honest with you. I am quite a very talkative and quite a laid back woman, so I do try and just forget about it. I know it's part of who I am, and I have accepted that, but I don't try and think about, when's the next seizure going to come or anything like that. I understand for a lot of people who don't have epilepsy, they would maybe be paranoid and maybe think, oh my God, when is it going to be? But I try not to think about it. I do try and do some other things to try and stop myself having a fit. I do try to, in the morning, I have been diagnosed with juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, where you have them in the morning. So I do just get up on a morning when my body tells me to, and I do try and, instead of setting an alarm like most people will do, I don't do that.
Have you tried the high-fat diet?
I haven't actually, but I have been in talks about having VNS surgery though. So.
Right. Because I'm just thinking, with Christmas coming, it might be a good idea to try the high-fat diet as soon as possible. Could be quite good. Could be quite good timing, Chloe.
Yeah. I do tend to eat loads anyway. So.
Chloe, it's amazing to talk to you, just to hear how you're dealing with it. I think that's fantastic, and Professor Ley Sander as well. Thank you very much for being with us, Professor Sander. If people want more information, where do they need to go if they're perhaps affected by this?
Chloe already told us that the website of Epilepsy Society, as she mentioned, Epilepsy Action, and these are sites where you can get information. Epilepsy Society or Epilepsy Action. Just put this on the search engine, and the links will come up.
Great, thank you very much. And Chloe, good luck. You sound amazing, and it's really nice to talk to you. And I think it's so important as well to spend a bit of time talking about this, because it is such a common illness as well.
Yeah, it is. But thank you very much for having me on here as well. It's been a privilege.
It's a pleasure. Take care now. See you later. Thank you both. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.